Talk on 26. I'm Tertius Venter, a missionary reconstructive plastic surgeon and Christian apologist. Christianity is the only religion not based on blind faith or fear, but based on verifiable facts and on the experience of a personal relationship with the Creator God of the universe. It is equally wrong and damaging for religious fundamentalists to ignore the facts of science, as it is for science fundamentalists to ignore biblical and spiritual truths. The Bible is God-inspired and science God-created. It is our task as humans to figure out this oneness. Welcome to Talk on 26. So what we want to discuss today is the omnipresence of God. We usually think of omnipresence of God as present everywhere in space, but does that mean He's also present everywhere in time? And if He is, what are the implications for your life and mine if that is true? The Judeo-Christian understanding of God is that He is all-powerful, in other words omnipotent, that He's present everywhere, omnipresent, and this is what we want to discuss today, that He's all-knowing, omniscient, all-loving and good, omnibenevolent, self-existing, eternal, spirit, in other words, He's immaterial, He's perfect in love and beauty, and that He is personal. So if we think about this, if God created time, He cannot really be kept captive by time. He's present in the now, in every second, since the beginning of time till the end of time, present all the time. He's not bound by space, neither by time. He's present in space and in time all the time. So if we believe that, do we have reasons to believe that? And I do believe that we do have good reasons to believe that. The first one is a scientific argument, and the second one is our theological verses from the Bible that supports this. So if we look at the scientific base for believing that God is present all the time in the universe, from the beginning to the end at the same time, we start off looking at the Kalam cosmological argument. Now, this argument's first premise is that everything that exists has a cause. That we know everything that exists has a cause. Premise 2, the universe exists, and that we know. We look around us, we see the universe, it exists. So the conclusion is, because the universe exists and everything that exists has a cause, the universe must have had a cause. But we need a cause outside of time, matter, space, and energy to have created this. And the most reasonable answer to this is that it is God. That God is the first uncaused cause of the universe. In Genesis 1, we read that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And scientists have really only discovered that the universe had a beginning, a finite time in the past, that it started to begin. And they only discovered this over the last 100 years. And now accept it as a fact. Science has always accepted that the universe and the cosmos was eternal, just existed eternally, in contrast with what the Bible said. But now it's accepted that there was a finite time in the past that it began. So if God created time, He cannot be bound by time. So on our theological basis for the omnipresence of God, we're looking at His continual existence as it is described in the Bible. In Genesis 1:1 we read that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And in John 1:4, that goes hand in hand with this first verse of the Bible, it says that in the beginning, same words, before all times was the Word, meaning Christ. And the Word, or Christ, was with God, and the Word was God Himself. He, Christ, was continually existing in the beginning, co-eternally with God. We also read in Hebrews 13:8 that Jesus Christ is the same today, yesterday, and forever. Now, it's important here that the little word is used. It does not say that Christ was yesterday and will be tomorrow, but that he is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So it describes God's all-existing, always present, continually and eternally as God. Secondly, we can look at Exodus 3:14, when God sent Moses back to Egypt, and Moses asked God, "Who shall I send has sent me? Who shall I say has sent me?" And God said to him, "I am who I am. Tell them, I am sent you." Again, this goes hand in hand with Christ's words in John 8:58, where Christ said, "I tell you the truth, before Abraham was even born, I am." So God declares himself as the ever-existing I am, with no past history or future, but omnipresent in time, ever-existing. This is further supported by other verses, like in Psalm 90, verse 2, "Before you created the whole world and the mountains were made, from the beginning to the end, you are God. Not that you were God and will be God, but that you are God eternally, even before the universe was created." In other words, before time was created. So if God is omnipresent in time, what does it mean for our lives? And we will look at 6 headings to see what it actually means in our lives for us. First is God's knowledge for us, and secondly, it's impossible for God to lie or not to fulfill his promises. We will look at free will. Where does that fit in? Fourthly, the reliability of the prophecies, Old and New Testament prophecies. God's current presence on the cross. And lastly, fear and awe of God's majesty and glory. So if we look at God's knowledge of us, if he is present everywhere throughout the universe and in the hearts of men, and that we read in Psalm 94:11, "The Lord knows the thoughts of man." He is present in our past, in our present, and in our future. He is now, at this moment, present in our past, current, future thoughts and decisions. Because he is there all the time, he knows what our decisions was and will be in future, because he's already there. Therefore, God is all-knowing and knows everything about us. Secondly, it's impossible for God to lie or for his promises not to be fulfilled. And we read about this in Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie. Hebrews 6:18. It is impossible for God to lie. Samuel 15, verse 29. Also, the glory of Israel will not lie or change his mind, for he is not a man that he should change his mind. Because God is ever present in all times at the same time, it is impossible for him to lie, because he cannot go back on his decisions, because he is presently at the time of decision and at the time that his promises will come true. It's unlike man, who's taken his decision, time has passed, and then he can change his mind about his decision that he's taken in the past. God is present at the time of his promise, or the time that he's taken a decision, and he's also present at the time that it will be fulfilled. It is one and the same time for God. So thirdly, if we look at free will, God has given us free will because he is love. Love, by definition, is free. It is really in essence free. There is no such thing as forced love. That cannot exist. That is not possible for it to exist, because any love that's forced is not love. So God has given us a choice to choose Him, to love Him or not to love Him. And we are made in His image according to Genesis 27:1. So if God is omnipresent, when we will make our decisions in future, He already knows what we will decide because He is there. At the time that we will make our decisions, He is in our present time, present in our future when we will make these decisions. So it is not predetermined that God predetermines because He knows what we will decide. He's actually there and knows what we will decide in the now. So it really comes down to God's concurrent omniscience and omnipresence. In other words, He's all-knowing and all-presence in all times at the same time. So what does omnipresence mean if we look at the reliability of the prophecies? In Isaiah 9:6 we read, "For unto us a child is born." Because God is present at all times, He does not predict the future. He is present in the future. He's present at the time that it happens. He's also present, like with Isaiah, 700 years before Christ was born. When He told and revealed it to Isaiah, He was present with Isaiah, telling him that, as well as at the time of the birth, present at that time. Therefore, it's not a prediction, but it's just His omnipresence in time, being there when He told Isaiah, as well as being there when it happened. Again, it comes down to God's concurrent omniscience and omnipresence. He's all-knowing and all-present in time, all the time. Fifthly, we will look at God's current presence on the cross. And this is really a frightening thought. Because God is present everywhere, all the time, at the same time, from the beginning of time till the end, He is also present on the cross at this very moment. And this should humble us to an unparalleled level of thankfulness for His grace in our lives. Lastly, the fear and awe of His majesty and glory. We read in Isaiah 40:26 that who created all the stars, calling each by name? God is aware of every star in the universe. Now, if you come to think about that, there are billions of galaxies with each billions of stars. And God is aware of each one of them, and He's named each one of them. New stars are born all the time, and old ones die all the time. And we observe this from Earth as those stars' light reaches the Earth. But they are so far off that it takes millions and millions of years and light years for that light to get to us. So by the time we observe the changes, it's already taken place billions of years ago. In other words, God is aware of every star over this whole spectrum of time. For us, things that has happened long ago, but we only observe it now. But He's aware of it all the time as it happens over the millions and billions of years. God is present in the entire span of time, and He's aware of the ever-changing cosmos. God is just infinitely more majestic, more magnificent, wonderful, amazing, astounding, incredible, indescribable, more than we can ever comprehend with our minds. We know that the universe is big, and we actually know that the universe is much bigger than we can comprehend, and then realize, but it's actually bigger than that. But God is more majestic and more vast than the whole of the universe. So we can just close off with this verse from Psalm 105:1. Give thanks to the Lord and proclaim His greatness. Let the whole world know what He has done.